got to shake it up because I'm so tired of like the logo on the left, the burger menu, the freaking line spacing, the fonts. It's all just so the same. And I look at every landing page and like the coloration is even the same. And so I'm very like, how do you do? Man, we need creativity so bad right now.
Yo, what's up, dude? Happy Friday. Welcome to the stand-up.
Yes, we're back. We had a lot of recording. We had a lot of busyness this week.
A lot.
Kind of crazy.
It's okay. Well, I wanted to start off by acknowledging what we did last night, which was a really dope Long Island Technologists event. You know,
Was
we
that
run Long
the
Island
biggest turnout we've had?
It might be short of like one of our first events where like all of Hofstra Computer Science showed up. Like,
right.
Yeah, the room was so filled. It was a straight frat party. But yeah, I think last night was one of the largest turnouts. I loved the fact that like you see a ton of returning familiar faces, but I also love that like we're bringing in new people constantly to these events. And so that's a testament to marketing and people craving these types of in-person experiences. And like one of the takeaways from yesterday, shout out to Mr. Ryan Riley for giving an amazing presentation on revenue architecture, but it was more of like a battle cry for how people should represent themselves in the world. And I think it was really invigorating for the people that were there to think about how the topic of sales is part of every second of your life. It's part of every decision you make. It's part of every relationship you have. And like, I really love that our little network of incredible professionals participates in this. And so shout out to Ryan Riley, dude. That was a really fantastic presentation. It happened to have been probably the largest turnout of Long Island technologists that we've ever had, to the point where like we have grown out of our little humble Flux coffee shop on Main Street in Farmingdale. And so now we're looking for bigger and better, and it's an opportunity for us to stay authentic and return back to our roots. And we're headed back to Island Rock, which is kind of dope. I never thought that we would do that.
Yeah,
I never thought we'd grow like this, and I never thought we'd return home.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, look, I'm excited to just like go climbing also because
I know, dude. Well, instead of us like being a little bit degenerate and going out to the bar and eating like endless chicken wings, we'll catch a session, which is like way more up my alley anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's my favorite thing to do, you know.
I mean, I also think it's going to turn into some amazing content. You know, shout out to Francisco and Carolina. And Francisco Cuna is the founder of Big O Day Productions, and he captures our videography of these events. And Carolina Luna, she captures our still photography of these events. So like new venue, new vibe, like please capture us climbing. Like that would be so damn fun. It's just different and stands out in the crowd. And yeah, man, it's just time to grow. It's time to grow. You know, it's a dead bird under the nest never flies, as Mr. Wonderful says. And it's time for us to fly to greater ventures and larger venues and new audiences. And fuck yeah, dude. It's amazing. So stoked.
Sick.
I'm so stoked. And like everything else, man. So, you know, I think what I'd like to talk about is the frustration of maybe we could choose Uncal. And I think you know, we talk a lot about building these things, but we really never come back to them and kind of talk about their success or lack thereof. And so I think that might be like a really good thing for stand up. It's what you and I were just talking about 5 seconds ago, and like pressed record so we can include this. And I think what's the dark side of releasing ideas rapidly? And I think
or just releasing ideas.
And like, so what does validation look like? Because we got validation. And now we're like, man, like maybe we didn't get enough. And like, what does it look like? And like totally transparently, nobody's fallen through the funnel yet. Nobody's signed up. We don't have a single paying customer. The product has been live for, I would say, maybe 2 weeks at this point. And that was on the back of a small validation phase of people signing up with general interest and wanting to be alerted. But even the people that were on that wait list haven't signed up. And so this is just the dark side of releasing products into the world. And like, what is the formula? What are the learnings? And what are the things that we're going to do for the next thing that we try and launch?
Yeah. So I think I talked to Scott Werner about this, who I'm talking to him later today, but
Sick.
he's experienced much of the same. If you go on X, go and build in public, all you see are people who are like, I launched this app and I made $100,000. It seems like overnight. And then in my actual experience, I built lots of apps. None of them have been
None.
done.
Even
that.
our customer.
And right, even our customers. So that was like the sobering realization. I go, doing this for 10 years, even at big agencies, I've seen people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building products.
Totally.
I have never seen any of them exit. Or honestly, I would argue that most of them are no longer in business.
Well, I was just going to say, you see the largest businesses in the world, Meta comes to mind right now, literally shutting down entire, billion-dollar sectors of their business because they can't find product market fit.
$80 billion. Well, this is kind of my thought is now we can build fast. Everyone's like, now that code has gone to absolutely zero, anybody can build software. There was a post today even about Lovable. Lovable released some kind of like a workflow, some kind of almost like a Claude co-work competitor, because like the argument is, yeah, you built a lot of shit on Lovable. A lot of people built a lot of shit on Lovable. None of it's making money.
Right.
Everybody's building a lot of software that they're the only user of. And unfortunately, I'm not doing this for my health. I'd rather go rock climbing than build software nobody's going to use.
Amen,
if
brother.
I'm just not going to make money, there's no point in being here. And so we've talked about this, like maybe we need a free tier. I go, but if there's free, then why am I like, I could literally do anything else with my time except like I would just build stuff for myself. Like, why am I going to do free?
Oh my God.
So I think this is very frustrating. And the more and more people I meet, the more and more founders I meet, the more and more of them are like, yeah, this is the frustration of the industry. We release stuff, we raise money, and a lot of people think raising money is the same thing as having customers. Totally, and it's like, right. No, you just managed to stave off having a job for as long as that money lasts. But if you can't convert that into paying customers that are in a profitable way, or convert that into paying customers such that you can raise the next round, your product it may not need to exist. And I think that we are seeing a ton of products that don't need, Google is famous for this. I think even today they just killed like a Firebase-based product, like today. We are seeing a ton of products that don't need to exist. We are seeing this is going to be the new thing. This is the new thing. And we talked about this on the way home last night. I was like, the podcast is really successful. The marketing that we're doing is finally becoming successful around our agency. This is the thing that people are having trouble with. And the reality is most things don't get enough validation, and the only real validation in my mind is not an email list. That's clearly not enough. You have to get people to swipe their credit card. I don't know what else it takes, and I don't think that you're seeing the death of SaaS that everyone's calling for. That's going to happen for people who are paying tens of thousands or millions of dollars for these Salesforce-like solutions, right? They'll likely say, listen, for a fraction of that we can invest in rebuilding and owning our own software. I definitely think that's going to happen. But for the vast majority of people, $5 a month, $10 a month, $25 a month, these solutions have marketing motions that keep them afloat, and you learn that the freaking hard way when you release a piece of software. And it is quite frustrating because I think about all the software we've built. There are some that we're seeing have continued to be successful that we keep building with them. But the vast majority of them kind of like they really, really struggle with distribution, and they don't get it out the door. And we've offered to help people with distribution, and nobody really wants to take it, and nobody really wants to pay for that. Someone once told us this on a phone call. They said, 60% of your budget should be for marketing. And I didn't even, at the time, I was like, that kind of makes some sense. Like they were talking about like Microsoft or something. But now I really see it. When somebody gives me a budget for software, I think, yeah, I would expect you to have 3 times that available for your marketing motion now, because that's how hard it's going to be to get this thing over the line. Like, how many pieces of software have we built where the landing page was like the second fiddle to the whole thing? And that's literally the front door. Man, I'm realizing where we need to be as a business now. I'm like, we have building dialed, dude. I could build you anything, and I could build you anything for pretty damn cheap these days. But my God, I cannot I cannot distribute your business. Just that distribution, and you can't use AI. You can use AI to do the mechanics. We do AI for our podcast. We do AI for our posting. All those automations are very AI driven. But you can't like let AI just like write and design and build your brand kit, because it comes off as so the same as everything else. You're not going to stand out. So, man.
You know who I would love to have as a guest on a podcast is a VC, is an angel investor in the tech sector, because like, dude, like they have perspective. They're deploying capital to a portfolio of businesses. The win rate, like the success rate of those businesses is, and like I'd love to see from a VC's perspective, like what is a formula for success look like, because the age of VCs just taking a million bets is over. And so like how are they strategically identifying unicorn businesses? Because like the age of just like, oh, I'll cut you a check, here's a $5 million investment, go run at it, try to make a business out of this, that's over, dude, because everybody's got an idea these days.
Well, the other thing is, I don't know if I'm like after the unicorn. I don't even know if I want to be a unicorn. You know, like
I would like a portfolio of a couple SaaS companies that just give us some passive income. Like I want to keep it super simple. I just want to get the signal that there are like 50 people in the world that want to buy this product.
That find this thing useful.
Totally.
And a bunch of it though, like for example, I'll just use our products as an example. Uncal was very clearly a copy and it's open source. That's a different scenario.
And we're doing it for like theatrics, you know.
That was like a lotto. That was a lot. I'll call that a lotto ticket. Like, you know what? Take. It's going to be easy. But I kind of take a look now at Fin, our project management tool, and the way that the problem I see is not the storytelling. It's just that it does too much. And it was great because I read a Mitchell Hashimoto post from a podcast he was on. There were a couple of salient points. One of them was that you don't need to be the first to the market. You know, he talked about how Terraform as a dev tool was like the 7th to the market, but they won because they created they kept pushing and they built a better experience. And I think that a lot of it is persisting through some of that. He also talked about how his early products, you don't have to chop it up into smaller things. And so when I look at our product Fin that does time tracking, financial forecasting, income management, project management, and it brings it all together for you. If you look at how Toggle has marketed, most people use Toggle just for the time tracker. And then they incidentally find out, oh, it also does this other thing. So like I've almost looked at that product and said, should we chop this up and like have a landing page for the Kanban for like, hey, this is simple Kanban tracking across many projects that you can use. Should we have, hey, this is simple time tracking, this is simple invoice management, this is simple forecasting. And so like we've tried the simple forecasting. I don't think there's a great way to make that. I think I made it a lot simpler by integrating AI and like other features. Like I know I'm on the right track because I just saw Basecamp released yesterday their AI chat that can do everything in Basecamp. Guess what? We've had that for a month.
Right.
I don't see it anywhere on our landing page, and nobody knows that we have that as a feature. But you and I are using it to great effect internally in our project management. Like people send us emails. I'm like, chop this up into tasks, add it to the board. So I know we have the right things, but they're not being presented correctly. I don't have the Corvette in the window, right? Like a lot of people walk into a Chevy dealership, they're not there to buy a Corvette, but that nice car brings them in. So like we sort of need a little bit more showmanship. I think a lot of folks building products out there are finding the bar is a little bit higher for the feature sets you maybe need. But how are we doing a better job at presenting these things to people? Is the age of the landing page a little bit dead, right? We've talked about this too. ChatGPT is not a landing page. You just ask it a question and you watch the magic. So is that what we need to be doing with Fin? Like, hey, dump a task list. I'll fire you up a whole instance and you're ready to go. So these are some of the things I'm thinking about more and more, which is how do I just get people taking the first action and like bringing them in on the magic a little bit more? Because the world is definitely changing as far as like what people expect from a product now.
You know, I'll tell you what we're really good at is not doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
businesses are just willing to spend the same money on the same marketing material and not innovate and not try and, like you just talked about 10 different things that we are going to try. And they're
Well,
not going to
dude,
all happen at the same time. And like you have to be willing to iterate in marketing as much as you would iterate on your product. And here you are, you have this like gigantic product that's like been built over a very long period of time. The marketing is the way to kind of test like what is the thing that people want from this product. Much easier to do that. But man, if you just keep marketing the same way, you do the same things, the same post and the same channel, like you're going to get the same results.
well, it's so interesting you bring this up because we talked about this idea, and it's so funny that it came to me like that. It came to me last night, just like it hit me like a. I've been working on for SaaS Killers, our CMS. Been working on the markdown that can render components, right? So it's like rich markdown, so to speak, but not MDX. We had this concept, and then suddenly I like saw it, and last night I saw it, and I was like, wait a minute, I can, I can, I can use this for Finn. Like, remember we talked about maybe the whole thing should just be chat, but it like brings in these widgets as you need them. I can use what I was just building in the CMS for SaaS Killers for that, and I go, maybe the thing, like, so I'm going to build the CMS because you and I would like always wanted to do this, but I go, maybe it's like one feature of the thing. Like people talk about Slack. I think Slack was a gaming company and like the chat came out of it, and I'm sort of like, wait, maybe that was the thing. Like this needs to be extracted into a package, and then I need to integrate it into Fin. But then that further becomes a dev tool we can open source for folks to be able to use in Rails code bases to build these types of optimistic UIs. And so I kind of go back to like, you know, it's hard for me to sit here and say like I want to spend all my time building landing pages and getting email lists. Maybe the thing is you just got to like keep following the, you got to just keep scratching your own itch and refining it, because I think we're going to land on the thing. It's just not today happening, which is fine. You know, we're a service business. We live to serve people, but you and I are on this journey, and it's like through this exploration of technology, through learning, through probing these different ideas, I'm suddenly, you start to connect these dots, and I don't know where it's all going to kind of come together yet, but I do think that there's something there. We've talked about this with Finn over and over again. Yeah, it's exactly right. Like I'm like, listen, I don't want, I know there's a lot of complexity to managing projects and finance and working and employment and all these different tools doing these things. We packaged it together, but I want it to be even better, which is how do I get it to, like, I don't want to learn your UI. We like I think Donnie said this last night, fuck your UI. I don't want to learn your UI. I just want to say I want to do this, and it like presents. And so I think I've created the mechanism inadvertently through us building our show to do that. And I was like having this moment last night where I was like, I think this actually could work.
It is almost like the last UI that you'll ever need to learn.
Well, we say that.
That to me is kind of exciting. Like on a long enough timeline, the ideal user experience is going to surface. I can tell you what is not ideal.
It's personal. Yeah.
It's personal, right? What I can tell you is not ideal is having to sit down and learn an entire new platform. Some platforms do it much easier. You know, the learning curve, for example, the learning curve for Canva, very, very low barrier to entry. My mom can use Tailwind. Yeah. You know, like they did an amazing job. It's just all right in front of you. If you have a question, they have an AI integration that will point you in the right direction. Like, man, some tools are going to have to live like that. Most apps that we use, most native apps that we use, they are all just a wrinkle on the same annoying user interface. The user experience is like subpar, and we leverage beautiful design and beautiful photography and like beautiful typography to kind of trick the user into thinking they're doing something magical.
I got to be honest. Do we even do that? Like I'm building another freaking app. I'm building another app today.
Well, we don't. We obfuscate all of that. I'm like, yo, simple.
But like, here's the thing. I've been using Tailwind for so long, and I had this, again, another moment where I go, I'm so freaking tired of this look.
Bored of Tailwind.
It's the same. It's and like Tailwind is definitely like, it's atomic. You could definitely build it different. But I want to do something crazy, man.
Dude, I know.
I just want to do something crazy again. A part of me is like, I just want to I just got to shake it up because I'm so tired of like the logo on the left, the burger menu, the freaking, you know, even the line spacing, the fonts. It's all just so the same. And I look at every landing page and like the coloration is even the same. And so I'm very like, how do you do? Man, we need creativity so bad right now. Make that the clip. Dude, we need creativity so bad right now because AI is not getting us there. It's creating just this sameness, this insane sameness. And I don't, you know what? I blame a little bit of like Apple. This is like my criticism of Apple. Always. Everybody wants the same computer. They want the same phone. And when they came out with the watch, I go, everyone's just going to walk around with the same watch? We change the band. That's it. That's it.
Not
We're
me.
all just going to. Yeah, right. Not me. We're just gonna wear the same shit. Like let's just all get mock turtlenecks and dress like Steve Jobs. Let's get the same the Apple glasses. Like remember who came out? Ray-Ban is coming out with the glass. Like we're all gonna wear the same glasses. There's just gonna be no individuality anymore. UI has started to get like that, and a lot of it is super utilitarian. And I'll give you like one other kind of thought that I had when I was talking last night after you know, we're having some drinks, and I was like, you know, for those of us millennials, maybe we're a little bit of the problem. You come out, I graduated in 2008. When you graduated a little later than me, but I graduated right into the recession. And there was just this immense anger about not being able to get a job in our majors. There was just nothing happening, and not unlike today. So I like every youthful person to remember this is not unusual, and other people have battled this. But as a result, we have a very utilitarian look on education in the world, where we think, well, I don't want my kids to go for something useless. And even it's showing in the products we build. It's got to be Spartan, just enough to make a buck. You know, make it super Spartan, make it very, again, just a very look like, unless this makes me money, I don't have time for it. And unless college makes you money, you don't have time for it. And I think back about, you know, maybe I didn't use my degree directly, but there is this idea of becoming more well-rounded, just studying and being curious, fostering the curiosity and the how to learn pieces that I don't see, that they're not at the forefront of my mind, was likely very valuable. But it's been shaded over by recession and Occupy Wall Street. And like everybody's like, well, I'm going to recommend my kid become an electrician. And I'm sort of like, you know, I don't know what their future is going to be like. My job isn't to try and predict that, because my parents could not have predicted the future we're sitting in right now.
No chance.
I'm not going to be able to see their future. And there's a little bit of this, I think some of that utilitarian comes out of, and there's like, you know, the brutalist movements that came out of the wartime, like after World War II, they talk about how kind of design took this very, again, a very similar approach. It was like a bleak world that we were entering in. And I think in some ways we're like seeing the most amazing things, but yet we're not pushing our creativity, and we're trying to create this very, so I would argue, yes, I want to see optimistic UI. I want to see the fuck your UI, the chat interface, but I also want to see something different. Something, you know, it can't all be Shadcn. It can't all just be this standard UI kit that we're all going to be using. We're going to have to do something to draw people's attention, do something to stand out. And I feel like maybe we created a little of that, and I draw it all the way back to our very utilitarian view of society and school, of like just enough to make a buck. Don't put a second into something that maybe just brings joy.
You know, this reminds me of something you're kind of circling it. You didn't hit it, but like where is the, you know, we've done this with integrations for a very long time. You've done this to like extend platforms. Just pick one. Shopify comes to mind. You can extend that platform endlessly. Like, where is the one centralized experience that I can go to? For me, this is like Claude is doing a lot of this for me right now, where no matter what website I want to go to, no matter what tool, what app, it all kind of centralizes in Justin's app. And I can access all of my things. I can get like my bank account can come into that. My ADT home security could be coming into that. I can be in Riverside through that one place. The hardware, the device was that thing. Bring all these things together under one piece of hardware. What is the piece of software that brings all of these things together. And that to me is like where you're headed for Fin, which is like the one tool to end all agency operation. And I don't know how this like exists. It's moving away from the standard user interface into my personal user interface. And I don't know what that looks like. It's a thought that's bigger than my brain, but I am aware as a user, I am like exhausted by the amount of applications that I have to get used to. And you're starting to see parody applications.
Is why, though, that might be a cause of the sameness I'm talking about, though.
Yeah,
dude. You're not seeing. You know, I think that there is definitely a crave, just like there's a craving for in-person human experience. I think we're starting, or at least I'm feeling this craving for. Show me something new. Show me something new. For Christ's sake.
Novel.
Yeah, I want to see something novel come out. It doesn't. You're not even in the function, just like in the look, in the feel, like would, you know, that also aesthetic factors into choice. And I love, you know, like I love the aesthetic of it's one of the big reasons I had switched operating systems. I really like the Omachi aesthetic. I really got very tired of the Apple kind of feel, and I just wanted something down. I love the artwork in the backgrounds. I love changing the themes. I love custom tweaking little things that I want, because you just get so tired of everything feeling very, very the same. And I think that's another factor that we have never seen is every app we've ever built. I've never seen someone say, you know what, I'm going to beat them on? Freaking design. Coming from me, this is like so different, because I'm a form should follow function person for sure. But I think on some level, the form now, assuming you've replicated the thing that you're trying, you know, like all the apps are looking the same. There's 100 CRMs, there's 100 Uncal, the Calendly, right? There's 100 of these apps that all do basically the same thing. But not only do they do the same thing, they all look the same. Yep. And so then is there like an aesthetic vision that you can come up with that would actually attract, like there's an attractiveness where if someone's like, you know, I'm choosing between the two, they're $2 difference in price. So there's really no, it's not a price thing. It's not a function thing. They do the same thing. Feel better using this one. I think that's going to be a bigger thing now that the code has become cheaper to produce. It's, you may pick something just because you like it better. Why did I buy the Dodge Challenger? It is not more practical for me. I just like the car, and I wanted that car. I like the look of it. Right? Why did I pick this watch? I liked the look. I saw it in the window, and I said, I really want that one.
Yeah,
that was it. All the watches tell time. Why do people pick that? They like the aesthetic, right? Why'd you pick that microphone, right? Like you already had a microphone.
I got 3 of them looking at them.
You like the glow, like you know. Like right. It's a lot of these comic books. I pick based on the cover. Sometimes people are like, well, how do you pick, you know, how do you know which one's going to be rare? I go, I don't know which one's going to be rare. I like the artwork.
Yeah, I like the artwork.
I picked the one based on the artwork. Artists, the time is coming, man. The time is coming. Things are shaking up. But why did you pick this coffee shop over that coffee shop? Bottled water is the best example, dude. Like, why do you pick Voss? And then everybody comes up with a new shape, a new bottle shape. And then suddenly Liquid Death goes, we're going to put it in a can.
We'll put it in a can.
Why? It's all freaking water, bro. It's just water. But why'd you pay? You're willing to pay $1 more because it looks different.
Totally.
And so we are still very much creatures of aesthetics, and we should not forget that. And so this stand-up for me, I'm like just kind of talking out loud because I'm starting to think, like, I'm like, well, what's making the difference? Everybody's trying to build in public. Everybody's building in public with Tailwind and Next.js and Shadcn, and we're all building the same shit. So now I'm like, how do you make it look different? How do you make it look different? And how do I attract somebody? So maybe you and I got to do something wild, dude. So
I'm down, dude. I'm down.
Dude, I mean, this weekend, get wild, bro.
Finn is fucking wild. Can somebody sign up for fucking Finn just so you can get your hair blown back a little bit? Come on, man.
It is true. I did try and embed some aesthetic, like a different kind of aesthetic into that. But I want to do even more. I want to, you know me. I was ready to make that whole thing look like the freaking term, dude. I was ready to make that whole thing cyberpunk, and I chickened out. I kind of chickened out on it. You'll see.
It's never too late. You know, it's never too late.
I'm probably gonna do it, dude.
I know, dude. Well, why not? It's not like you have any users you're gonna disrupt.
What the fuck am I gonna lose? What I got to lose?
You know, I mean, our customers and team won't care. They'll be psyched on whatever it is, as long as it functions. you know?
No, it'll look cool. I'm feeling that itch now. Now that a little bit of the coding is kind of taken care of, I'm like, okay, how do I stand out in this world? You and I had this problem with just marketing our agency, and someone said, go where you stand out. And we started going to these like North Shore, older business dude parties, events. And suddenly we found people who needed software, and like we're looking for builders, and why we were the youngest people in the room by at least 20 years most of the time. But it was definitely not your typical tech meetup. It wasn't even a tech meetup, but we went where we stood out. So try to stand out. That would be my argument for people.
Well, dude, thanks for a dope episode. We'll get back on it on Monday with more vibe, more wisdom. But in the meantime,
well, SaaS Killers next week, because I got to show you what I built for the CMS.
Hell yeah! Well, we got to get back on that.
I'm gonna lose the whole weekend thinking about this thing now.
I mean, it's like if we don't do it on Monday or Tuesday, the whole fucking week's shot, because I got 7 episodes I'm recording next week.
No, I got a lot too, and then I'm going away the week. I'm going away after that, so yeah, I'm fully taking a week off. There will be no agents running in the background when I'm out climbing and just being in the woods.
God bless. Yo, dude. See you, my brother.
Peace, man.